Hello there. We are ready to discuss Act 2, Scene 4. We begin here with a conversation between Ross and an old man. And hold on. Yeah. And the old man is ruminating upon what has occurred the previous night. And their discussion, excuse me, kind of diverges here, and they move into what has been quite unusual in nature itself. So what this section here is illustrating is that the regicide here is not only something that has been committed against a kingdom, but it is actually something that we are now seeing the effects of in nature itself. Earlier I alluded to the idea that a king is meant to embody sort of this will of God, and that what you're seeing again here is that the murder has offended the actual heavens themselves. So let's look at sort of what the old man begins to grieve about here. He says, 70 I can remember well, within the volume of which time I have seen hours dreadful and things strange. Oh, this is very strange music. Yes. Okay. And here, this sore night, I think it's very effective diction here. It has trifled former knowings. So what do we mean by sore night? That this is severe. This is something that is so heavy that it's hard to even describe. It has trifled former knowings. I don't know how to explain this to you, is what the old man is saying to Ross here. Ross's response is reiterating this same idea, that he actually says that the heavens themselves are troubled with man's act. So this is a literal as well as a spiritual reference, that we see that literally right now, dark night strangles the traveling lamp. So while it might be day, it is quite, it's being strangled. So this is that very eerie reference here. Sorry, eerie reference to sort of the light and dark imagery. Light and dark imagery. Excuse me. Still fighting my cold. So the actual darkness here is overpowering the light. So is it night's predominance or the day's shame that darkness is the face of earth and tomb when living light should kiss it? So we have this idea of why would darkness be stronger than light here? So clearly, guys, this is the idea that the natural world here, right, is, or the natural hierarchy even, okay, has been distorted or upset. Okay. This same idea of day and night being compromised here is referenced when the old man brings up a very odd sort of occurrence. He says that it is unnatural, even like this, the deed that's done. On Tuesday last, a falcon, towering in her pride of place, was by a mousing owl, hawked at and killed. So clearly this is a reference to who? Hopefully you said Macbeth. And who else? Duncan. All right, how so? Duncan is the man who is towering in his pride of place, and he was struck down by who? The mousing owl. That would be Macbeth. And now, clearly, the hierarchy I mentioned earlier has been disrupted. Ross adds another odd occurrence here, that Duncan's horse is a thing most strange and beauteous and swift. The minions of their race, turned wild in nature, broke their stalls, flung out, contending against obedience, as they would make war with mankind. So you have a clear madness kind of going on here. They've eaten one another, as we're told in the next line. So this is probably the most foreboding reference yet. Think about the fact that what that reference is there is, or references, sorry, I keep saying that. What that implies here is some sort of self-destruction, right? So we have some self-destruction going on. You kind of get the idea, too, that this is reflective of the mistrust that is rampant at this point. I want you to think about the juxtaposition of the language here with man's act, mankind, along with heavens, and that this is clearly pointing to the moral failing of Macbeth. Nature itself, the heavens themselves, are feeling the pangs of Macbeth's murder of Duncan. He now has caused his own self-destruction. Macduff enters the scene, and Ross says to him, "How goes the world, sir, now?" And so there's that reference of the world here as clearly not going so great. Macduff answers, it's pretty clear, why see you not? It's what we just discussed is evidence of how dire things are. Think about the lamentings in the air from the prior scene, the strange combustion, the dire combustion, and those lines. Ross then questions, do we know who did this more than bloody deed? And Macduff says, oh yeah, of course, those that Macbeth hath slain. So the guards, they are the guilty ones, right? Isn't that right? Is Macbeth saying that because he believes it, or is he testing Ross here? Ross answers, what good could they pretend? And Macbeth says, oh, well, they were suborned. They were bribed. Malcolm and Donalbain, he's speaking of. So who was bribed? Malcolm and Donalbain, the king's two sons. They have stolen away and fled, which makes them suspicious. So now everyone thinks that Malcolm and Donalbain must have had something to do with this. Okay. Ross comes back in, another reference to nature. Oh, that would be horrible. That would not be natural. Thriftless ambition. Oh, I've heard about a vaulting ambition. Same kind of thing here. The implication is that maybe Malcolm and Donalbain have the same kind of ambition as Macbeth. We know that is not the case. Okay, and then Ross goes on to say that now we have been told that the sovereignty will fall upon Macbeth. And Macbeth confirms that and says, oh, haven't you heard? He's already gone to Scone to be invested. Some details here about where is Duncan's body, carried to Colmkill. You can look at your footnotes. I think there's some in the book there. And very, very interesting exchange here at the end with Ross asking if Macbeth is going to go to Scone to the crowning, to the coronation of the king. And he says, no, I am not going. That's a curious thing. He's going to go back home to Fife. Going home. All right, to Fife. That would be odd for him not to attend the coronation of the next king. Be thinking about why. He explains why in the following when he says, may you see things well done there, adieu, lest our old robes sit easier than our new. So our old robes would be Duncan. Our new robes would be Macbeth. So think about what you think that might mean. The old man returns. Farewell, Father. The old man comes back in. God's benison go with you and with those that would make good of bad and friends of foes. So this is a hint about what's to come. I'm not going to give you more than that on those lines. Okay. Farewell, my students and Dr. Deegan's students.